This is the history of the Newtown Baptist Church. In 1978, the Newtown housing scheme at Phase 1 community was established. As the community grew, so did the need for a place of worship. Missionary Richard Young of the Baptist International Missions Incorporated, the BIMI, and pastor of the Palmer's Cross Baptist Church, being aware of the spiritual need of the people, and in an effort to fulfill the Great Commission of Jesus Christ, seized the opportunity to venture into this area. He, along with Marlon Johnson and young aspiring pastor William Newman, conducted regular open-air meetings. The sugar housing industry, the developers of this scheme, designated a portion of land to be used to erect a church. A number of denominations, including the Baptists, submitted applications to the developers for reacquisition of this land. The Newtown Citizens Association, which was an integral part of the selection committee, took the decision to grant permission to the Baptists to lease the land. Due to the unavailability of a BIMI missionary, Pastor Richard Young, the initiator of the Baptist ministry in Newtown, opted to ask the Macedonia World Baptist Mission to come on board and plant a church in this area. The early years? In 1983, Reverend Jerry Nye, a missionary of the United States, and his family came to Jamaica to serve. He was entrusted to establish a church at Newtown on the designated site. The first official service was held on November 3, 1983. This took place under a tent or a tarpaulin. 35 persons were in attendance. During the service, rain accompanied by strong winds destroyed the temporary meeting place, but this did not deter the people who were present. Being left with only skies for canopy, they used umbrellas to shelter themselves for the duration of the service. God showed up in a mighty way because 3 persons gave their lives to God that day. Sister Leonie Smith was the first to get saved. Deacon Bissoon and his family, who were members of the Gravel Ground Baptist Church, relocated to Newtown Phase 2. They joined the church family and soon became actively involved in the ministry. The church's progression? The need for a permanent structure led to the construction of a wooden building. Seating was not too comfortable, but the blessing was in abundance. The church grew numerically as several persons submitted their lives to Christ. During this time, Pastor Nye used his personal vehicle to transport persons from adjoining communities to and from the church. The first baptismal service was conducted on July 1st, 1984 at the Rio Minho River. A vibrant Sunday school ministry was formed and the attendance grew. Pastor Durant Brown joined Pastor Nye and assisted him in the ministry. Pastor Nye's pastoral tenure was cut short due to an injury he sustained in 1985. He then returned to USA to seek medical attention. On October 27, 1985, Reverend Wesley Hutchins assumed the pastorate of the church. He played an important role in the development of the church, and he was instrumental in the construction of a new sanctuary, which still serves as the main place of worship even today. The building was started in 1986, and it took much time and labor. Reverend Hutchins went on furlough for a year. The work was then carried on by missionary Schmidt and Finley, respectively. On Reverend Hutchins' return, work continued on the building. It was eventually completed and dedicated in 1989. Pastor Connie Brown served as assistant pastor to Reverend Hutchins from 1992 through to 1994. In 1994, Reverend Hutchins, after leading the church through 8 years of growth and achievement of a building, felt it was time to move on to plant a new church in St. Catherine, the Heritage Baptist Church. Reverend Garnet Samuels became the incumbent pastor of the church in 1994. Under his leadership, other members were added to the church. He resigned in December 2002 and relocated to the country of Grenada to pastor in that community. In March 2003, Pastor David Lord, the current minister of the church, who was pastor in Gravel Ground Baptist Church at the time, was asked to pastor Newtown Baptist Church simultaneously. He worked on a strict schedule as steward of both churches. In January 2009, due to a strong desire for the vast majority of the congregation and the yearning for a full-time pastor, a request was made for Pastor Lord to commit to Newtown fully. He unreservedly accepted, and the rest is history. This dynamic visionary quickly ushered in a new era of rapid growth. He brought with him fresh perspectives and insight which has greatly benefited the church. His sterling work has seen beautification of the sanctuary, which was remodeled and renovated. Pastor Lord's vision to complete the church manse and the construction of a multi-purpose building, which he earnestly desired to use in the church's outreach program, was shared with missionary Sandy Baird and Manna Worldwide in Texas, USA. Missionary Baird conveyed this to Pastor Lamar Farrell of a Baptist church in Milton, Ohio, and Hands and Feet Ministry. This dream was realized with the kind of assistance of a combined team that consisted of Pastor Lamar Farrell along with members of the Baptist church there in Milton, Ohio, and Pastor Joshua Morris and members of Key Largo Baptist Church in Florida. They traveled to Jamaica, contributed financially, and worked assiduously along with the church family and members of the New Town community to complete the project in a record time. Baracha Hall was dedicated on March 29, 2011. The church engages its members in adherence in a number of ministries. These include youth, children's, women's, men's ministries, couples, single seminars, open-air meetings, several special events, Christian concerts, and movie nights. All these activities are held to renew commitments and to propagate the gospel among the people of this community. The current members of the church stands at 98. The Newtown Baptist Church, over its 30 years of history, has been and continues to be a blessing to God's people. It serves as a beacon to the saved and the unsaved seeking God's salvation for their lives. The family of this noble institution not only looks with praises to God for what He has done, but looks expectantly to the future of growth and blessings as we continue to labor in His vineyard, being confident of this very thing, that He which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. Philippians 1, verse 6. For those who served us, Reverend Jerry Nye, 1983 through 1985. Pastor Wesley Hutchins, 1985 through 1994. Pastor Garnet Samuels, 1994 through 2003. Pastor David Lord, 2003 to the present day.